Hello and welcome to tonight's video where we're going to look back at patch 14.5 that just finished up with the LCS finals only an hour or so ago and see if the patch altered the meta at all in the four major regions. I did this for 14.4 as well about a week and a half ago. If you'd like to watch that, I did believe in my mind, personally, that the patch did make some changes that we saw that were significant in champion presence. And we're looking at it here. This patch not as impactful. So I added this to kind of give us a vibe for what did change in terms of presence in the four major regions, just to see, did it change or did it not? Comment down below with why you think these things changed, even though the champions may not directly had been, directly were affected. I think partially with the mid lane, Azir being disabled is probably a part of it, even though it was not a high presence pick on 14.4, it was disabled on 14.5. So 3 champions that were nerfed that we saw a drop in presence. Everything that was buffed, we saw a couple picks of like Sivir, Veigar, Wukong, maybe even the Rek'Sai, Bel'Veth. But in all actuality, it did not result in a significant change. It was only like a couple percentage points, only picked a few times, not worth really discussing. In 14.4, there were about 124 games roughly, rounding and things like that, using gol.gg for the stats. And on 14.5, 183. So Senna was nerfed. The Q was nerfed. On 14.4, about 26% of the games we saw Senna played in, so 1 out of every 4, and then banned in 3 out of every 5. So roughly 80, we see over here 84% presence, over there 87, rounding and things like that. The stats are what they are. I'm just trying to do some reverse math to try and figure it out. But roughly speaking, we are at about 84%, and we see it drop over here to 70%, 22, and 50. So is it a significant change? No. It goes from over 4 out of every 5 to almost 9 out of every 10 games in the case of 84% to below 3 out of every 4. It wasn't taken out of the meta. We still see it picked now on 14.6. So just kind of grasping at straws here when it comes to, the champions that were nerfed a little bit. Twisted Fate, I would say, it changed quite a bit, right? So we had about 56% presence on 14.4. 1 out of every 5 games, Twisted Fate was picked in, and then 2 out of every 5, he was banned. So 3 out of every 5, TF showed up in some way, shape, or form in the draft. And then when we look at the 14.5 patch, pretty much cut in half. 1 out of every 10 games, so that is half of the amount of time. And then 1 out of every 4 games, it is banned. So, 56-33, roughly. Like I said, very roughly, about cut in half in presence. And we're still seeing Riot try and nerf ADTF to get him out of the bot lane and the top lane. I believe even on 14.7 in that patch. Also something to note, we saw some people today, wondering why things are being picked in the LEC versus the LCS. Remember, the LEC is on 14.6 already, and the LCS, for some reason, were live patch all year until playoff time and stayed on 14.5. I thought that was kind of silly to be, innovative and on top of what patches in solo queue, but then when the playoffs start, take their foot off of that and say, hey, well, for the finals, we're going to go against what we've done all year and play on the same patch. The third nerf, so Senna Q was nerfed, Twisted Fate E, and then Maokai's base stats were slightly nerfed as well as the W, but then buffed for the jungle. So this is only support related. 13% pick rate for Maokai in the support role on 14.4. And then in terms of the 14.5, 3%. So over 1 out of every 10 games we saw Maokai in the 4 major regions at the support role. But, however, on 14.5 it was very rare. I think it only happened 4 times or 6 times across 183 games. So it's pretty much been pushed out when it comes to a support threat. And maybe that's for the best. In terms of the overall pick ban rate, because the jungle was buffed a slight bit, the Q, if I recall, just looked at it, but that's, I'm going to be honest, I believe it was slightly buffed to try and maybe incentivize people to pick it in the jungle and stop picking it at support. So Maokai support kind of pushed out. Now, in terms of this, so the most common champions on both patches are Kalista. I mean, is Kalista. Kalista was at 89% and then 94%. It is nearly pick or ban. It very seldomly, 1 out of every 10 to 1 out of every 20 games is not, in the draft in some way. Nautilus appears in both. Senna appears in both, so like we said. Varus in both. Now, Karma on 14.4 is picked in almost 1 out of every, is in the draft in 3 out of every 4 games. And then on 14.5, drops out in less than 3 out of every 5. So Karma fell out between the 2 patches. We can say that's quite a change. And we see Ari pop up on 14.5 when it was not nearly as common in 14.4. Talia appears in both. Lucian is about 3 out of every 5 games on 14.4. Drops out of the top 10 on 14.5. Xin Zhao is on both. K'Sante is the top pick in 14.4 in top lane. And then Renekton. So Renekton's below 60% here. And appears in 80% of the drafts on 14.5. Significant change. You can comment down below by, for why you think the Renekton pick became so popular on 14.5 versus 14.4. And why K'Sante is no longer the marquee pick. You could argue, why is Karma out and Ari in? Let's see, what else do we have here? In terms of champions that popped up over here, Vi. So Vi rose in priority as well. Alongside Renekton, Vi at 71% and was below 60% on 14.4. And yeah, I mean, Smolder is on both. So there are a couple changes, right? Renekton, Vi, Ari, right? Renekton, Vi, Ari in place of Karma, K'Sante, and Lucian. Yeah, so Karma, Lucian, K'Sante out, Renekton, Ari, Vi in. So there's, a couple champions difference. These 3 champions, I would say we did see less of them. I think that's pretty clear. Stats may not be exactly accurate because I'm trying to pull and do reverse mathematics, but regardless, there is a difference. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, like it, subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.